Hi, I'm Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler. Every April 15th, we send our money to Washington. We pay our taxes, but where does it go? And then we hear that we have a $16 trillion deficit. How did we get there? And then most importantly, what can we do about this? I wanted to spend just a few minutes and share with you some very important information that I've learned since coming to Washington that I thought that you might find very interesting. I've got a few slides I want to show you, and together hopefully we can have a discussion, conversation about what we can do to turn things around for our district and for our country. The first slide I wanted to share with you is a pie chart of our national budget from last year. And you can see where our money went, all the different categories. The red is our non-defense discretionary, and that is basically all of the programs in the federal government, all of your departments from the Department of Education to Energy to Labor to Health and Human Services, Congress, foreign aid, all of that is in the red pie piece there. And then we have, of course, the defense, which is in green. Those are really the only two areas that I vote on every year on your behalf. Congress really controls on a yearly basis only those two categories. All the other categories are what we call mandatory spending categories, and they're made up of programs from past Congresses where they have established programs that basically say that if you qualify for a certain program, then you automatically get the money. And those are things such as Social Security, which has been around, very important programs for a long time, Medicare, Medicaid, which is our health insurance program for our elderly and for our poor. We have net interest, which of course we have to pay the interest on the debt, and it goes out every year regardless of Congress action. And then they lump together the other mandatory categories, which is everything from unemployment insurance to some of the public assistance programs, food stamps, Pell Grants for students. All of those would fit into that category. So you can see that really only 40% of the budget is controlled on a yearly basis by Congress, and 60% of the budget is comprised of these mandatory categories. So where does our money come from? Well, let's look at the next chart, and you'll see kind of the same pie chart, only put in a bar graph form. You see on the right-hand side, there's all the budget categories, just a little different colors, but there's Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, all the other mandatory programs, national defense, other discretionary, and then interest on the debt is at the top. Well, all the money we paid in comes in from the left side. You see, you and I pay Social Security taxes, and you can see that in 2010, there was Social Security, $632 billion came in from our contributions. $701 billion went out. Then we had our Medicare tax, 180 came in, but 520 billion went out. There's our income tax. That's what you and I pay for that. Corporate tax, other taxes, and excise tax. So obviously you can see there's a big deficit there. The programs on the right, the money going out, far surpasses the money coming in. So the next chart shows the amount of money then we had to borrow in 2010. And you can see that it's a lot. When I first came to office, we were borrowing about 42 cents out of every dollar we spent. Due to some cuts that we've made in the discretionary budget portion of our budget, we've been able to lower that, and now it's 36 cents out of every dollar that we spend is borrowed. It's unacceptable, and it's unsustainable. We can't keep doing this. Okay, our next slide shows who owns our debt. Well, you can see that has changed over the years. It used to be only 5% of our debt was held by foreign countries. Now we're closer to 47% of all of our debt is bought up by foreign countries. And who are those foreign countries? Well, we'll see the next slide that China is the principal owner of our foreign debt. 29% of our foreign debt is owned by China. That is a real problem. And it's a national security issue as well. Just interesting and very concerning fact on that is the next slide, which shows that with the interest that we pay China on our debt each week, they have enough money to buy 3 Joint Strike Fighters with $50 million left over. They are building up their military, and I think it's safe to say that they're doing it with the money that we are paying them on the interest. This is unsustainable. So, what's the answer here? Well, the next slide. The answer is a balanced budget. Certainly, I supported a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution like over 49 states have some form of, which would force Washington to live within its means and to quit spending money it doesn't have. But unfortunately, we didn't get the 2/3 support that we needed in the House to pass that last year. But yet, we in the House have been trying to put forth a budget that gets us to balance even without the amendment. We just need to do it. But what is driving our debt? And this is one thing I wanted to show you. The cost drivers of our debt as we go into the future, a lot of it is comprised of just 3 programs that are very, very important to our country. They're Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. As we saw earlier, we all pay into Social Security and we pay into Medicare. But with 10,000 baby boomers joining the system every day and with the high cost of health care, this is expected to just go off the chart. In fact, the line on this slide shows the projected tax revenue. If it stays where it is right now, those 3 programs alone will consume all of the taxes that come into Washington in the year 2050. And as each year goes forward, the other programs, such as national defense and education and other important programs, will be squeezed out. So is it possible to balance the budget and yet maintain these very important programs? I believe it is, and that's the solutions that I've been working towards. I want to show you a budget that we passed last year, and it was called the Path to Prosperity Budget. It came out of the Budget Committee, whose chairman is Paul Ryan. But you see in the green there where the trajectory of that budget, and it gets us to a balance point down the road, whereas the current path takes us off the chart in increased debt and basically fiscal insolvency for our country. We can't keep continuing down the path that we are doing. How do we balance our budget? Well, a couple of ways. And we need to raise the revenue of our country, but we need to do that through job creation. We've been passing bills here to get people back to work. With an over 8% unemployment rate for over 43 months now, it's imperative that the Senate passes these bills so we can get people back to work. And the way we're doing it is the way I do it back home with my husband and I's business, and that is we focus on job creation and small business owners, getting government off their backs. Right now there's so much uncertainty. Small business owners in the 4th District that I talk to, they don't know what their health care costs are going to be next year. They don't know what their tax rate is going to be. They don't know what government regulations are going to come down and make their life more difficult and more expensive to do business. And they don't know what their energy costs are going to be. So we're trying to remove those burdens, those barriers from small businesses so that they will invest and grow and hire more people. And that way we get more income coming in and there'll be less citizens using government services. But the second way is to do some basic, very important reforms to these programs that are the cost drivers and so many Americans and so many senior citizens depend on. And so our budget put forth a proposal to save, preserve, and protect Medicare. It is vital that we do that. My parents depend on it. Many people in this country depend on Medicare. The CBO last year said that Medicare will go bankrupt in 8 years. So we can't just continue to kick the can down the road and let that happen. I'm open to other ideas, and I'm hoping that if someone else has a better idea, they'll bring it forth. But right now, we're going to continue to work to preserve this program because it's important that we do so, not only for the senior citizens, for the behalf of these programs that they depend on, but for the fiscal solvency of our country, and most importantly, for the future of our children and our grandchildren. So I hope you found this information helpful, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, your ideas, your feedback. So please come to my website, call my offices, and get a message to me. Or if you're not already signed up for my weekly email newsletter, please do that. You can also email me through this website. So I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to carrying on the discussion of what we can do together to help our country and to have a balanced budget. Thank you for listening, and take care.